This is the problem with a lot of nonprofits, is that nonprofits are sustaining problems. They're not actually solving them. And if your mission and your goal is to actually solve the mission, your goal is ultimately to dissolve your nonprofit. Like it shouldn't be, you shouldn't be out there trying to make something, making this problem sustainable so that you can continuously keep bringing in a new paycheck.
Now, is this geared, this isn't just geared towards, folks that were participants in Operation Allies Refuge, right?
No, so the Afterward Project is open for everybody. It's open for vets. It's open for their families, for their spouses or partners. And that gives them the opportunity to actually build a support network, right, within their own journey going forward. And they don't have to have experienced combat or experienced kinetic deployment or anything like that. They could just be someone who's looking for support. They can come and if they look up afterward.org, they can go on that and then they can just plug in their information. They'll get a phone call from us.
What about if they go on to Operation Allies Refuge Foundation.org?
So that one, we haven't connected the two yet.
Okay.
So we will have connection between the two websites here soon, but
working on building it out.
building that out. But that's our core focus going forward, is like our day-to-day is going to be coaching, and it's going to be building peer support networks. It's going to be training. It's going to be doing retreats, all types of retreats, expeditions, mountaineering.
Okay.
And then there's also going to be some very core and hyper focused on the moral injury retreats. So those ones were like learning to recover from moral injury, and those ones are specifically geared towards individuals who've going through that one specifically. So we're comprehensive, but the core focus is the peer support.
Yeah, because I think that's important to clarify, just because I know people probably see Operation Allies Refuge Foundation and they're like, well, is that only geared towards people that were at the evacuation of Afghanistan?
Yeah.
And I think initially that's how it started.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's where you just participated in that. You came back. You're like, we got to figure something out to like help each other, because like obviously we're all going through some serious stuff right now.
Yes.
And like I said, it's been evolving. Like as you were, like we've talked about, it's morphing, it's changing, it's flowing, and you're like finding new things that are like innovative ways to help people, be of service to people, and help people heal, and provide sense of purpose, sense of happiness. Help people heal from whatever they've got going on, whether it be moral injury or otherwise. And because like the original reason that I came into contact with you guys was because like you had just stood up the organization the year after the anniversary, and I didn't want the sacrifices and like the trauma that was experienced by everybody over there to just be forgotten about by people, because you see how fast the 24-hour news cycle was. Which is why I was so eager to be able to participate and support in whatever way I can. And I've obviously still continue to anytime I'm able to. But I think obviously like as you move forward, the way that you're explaining this is good as well, because then you're not pigeonholing yourself where you can't, because there could be plenty of people out there that may need the help, but maybe they weren't at the evacuation,
Yeah, and this is the lesson that we learned, is that, the strength and the power of OAR is because of its connectivity to its, to the people that were there. Yeah. And what we're trying to do now is tell like the next generation or the next group that comes home is like that's the blueprint is bringing your guys together again. And we keep talking about like these VSOs that are large and big and stuff like that. That's not really what's needed. What's needed is these new groups of peer networks that need to be established as soon as these guys start coming home and stuff like that, because they need like the outsourcing people like that. It's not necessarily going to work up front or quickly. Yeah, it's got to come from within.
Well, and I think don't get me wrong, there are some very large VSOs that do a lot of good work. There's a lot of good ones out there. Like Tunnels to Towers, for example, is a good one. They do a lot to help veterans. Semper Fi America Fund do a really good job.
100%.
They take really good care of veterans.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good ones out there. You know, Hunter 7 Foundation's another awesome one. I love those guys over there too. Different type of, niche, very niched down. There's a lot of good organizations. I think the ones that tend to, at least from what I've seen, tend to be the most successful have the least overhead. They like a little bit more expeditionary, because they can still raise tons of money. Like they can still fundraise like crazy and raise a ton of cash to help support endeavors, but there's less overhead to pay for. There's less logistical support to pay for. It's like much easier, much simpler. And so more of it gets back to the individual. To support. To support what they have going on or what they're trying to do. Not that the big ones don't also do good work as well. Like obviously they do, but I think I tend to be more drawn to the smaller ones. It feels more personal.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, one of the things is like if you set out, this is the problem with a lot of nonprofits, is that nonprofits are sustaining problems. They're not actually solving them. And if your mission and your goal is to actually solve the mission, your goal is ultimately to dissolve your nonprofit. Like it shouldn't be, you shouldn't be out there trying to make something, making this problem sustainable so that you can continuously keep bringing in a new paycheck.
Like California's got a little good examples without getting too political. But there's some good ones out there, like stuff in relation to the fires that happened out there and stuff like that. That's a whole nother thing. But I get what you mean. You should want to work yourself out of a job.
1,000%.
Almost.
100%. And that's what I see with a lot of nonprofits out there is like they're trying to make this their life. And that comes with problems because it's, they're trying to sustain the problem and instead of trying to actually solve it and then go back to doing something else or something new. So.
And just to be fair, like I don't have a nonprofit. I don't know the first thing about running a nonprofit. So like maybe I'm not the greatest spokesman on like how a nonprofit should do business. I probably don't know the first thing about how to run a nonprofit, but I like having the flexibility of being able to help people, and I think most people I know at any VSO they want to help people too. In whatever capacity they're able to.
And some of them, I mean, some of these organizations are service oriented. It's like where they have to have their employees or compensation because they're doing like they are the medicine. They are the individuals actually bringing it to the communities. Like Hire Heroes, like they're the ones that are getting these guys plugged in and stuff like that. So obviously they're going to have a lot more overhead. With compensation, but they're doing the work for the veteran, helping that veteran get a job and stuff like that. So, sometimes when people throw the overhead stuff, it depends. It depends on whether or not they're doing the work or they're just taking in a paycheck. You know what I mean? So it's because I do think that if you're trying to solve a problem, you should be all in. And if it doesn't make sense, then there's no sense in collecting, overhead at all. You know what I mean? So,
again, like you've been doing this for 4 years now, right?
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for 4 years, so you're going to know a lot more about this stuff than I am, by far. But what are some of the things that you have been more focused on as of late, as far as endeavors with OAR? And obviously, is it mostly the after war project?
Yeah. So the after war project is the main component of what we're moving into going forward. It's
That sounds like a very broad subject.
It is. So there's a couple things, right? So the Afterward Project, its primary focus is building peer support specialists or peer recovery specialists.
Yeah.
So that these guys can actually go out and affect change within their own communities, stuff like that. And so what we're trying to do now is lay out a blueprint for how you build a community. How can you start getting out there and start, dating or getting into relationships, building relationships with coworkers, stuff like that. So it's the whole like kind of life development after service is what we're trying to establish. And we want to pass that information out to all the nonprofits, to all the other groups, or just the veteran themselves to essentially go out back into the world again and reintegrate.
Yeah.
But also building leadership where these guys are also affecting change within their own communities or their own people, stuff like that. So we want to get to a place where, the blueprint's there, these guys can collect it, they can go out and do what they need to do in order to have change. But also, part of this is also being that phone call. That late night phone call when you're ruminating, you can't go to sleep, or maybe you're contemplating suicide or stuff like that, and you have someone on your contact list where you can call and you can sit with that person and talk through it. That's a huge part of it, and we want to be that, at least have that connectivity to that individual, or at least have built leadership within their community so that they know that I can contact this person who has the same shared experience that I do.
Yeah.
And that's an important aspect of what we're doing.
I know that you said you'd gotten involved in like medicinal alternatives. Let's say.
Yeah.
How's your experience been with that?
So I think that it's, obviously with the psychedelics, you got to be very careful sometimes, taking on certain individuals, stuff like that. But I do think that it's one of the best tools out there to actually start building or reframing the narrative around who you are and your experience from the past.
Yeah.
It's been obviously one of the hardest parts of the psychedelics is the reintegration after use. And that's why I feel like part of what we're trying to do for any individual that does do the psychedelics or goes through assisted psychedelic therapy is also coaching them in reintegration after going on a retreat or something like that.
Yeah.
Because we've been there, we've done that, we know how that works. The most important aspect is the community, is that connectivity, and also coaching those guys after that experience. It's not everything though, and that's the problem. Is some people think or believe that psychedelics is something that's needed to happen. It's not always the case. I do think that the best medicine out there is the human interaction. It's the connection to another person that understands what you're going through, and that ability to at least have the ability to be coached.
Being coachable.
Being coachable, yeah.
Yeah.
So that to me is like the psychedelics. It's a great tool, but it cannot be everything. It cannot be everything. And we're training ourselves in multiple things, including breath work, trying to get into the fitness scene and yoga and nutrition, understanding relationships better, so that we can provide that as coaches, so that these guys have a full comprehensive ability to understand how do I regulate myself, how do I interact with other people, how do I get involved in the community, stuff like that. So we're still like trying to learn everything at the same time, while also providing the things and the lessons learned that we kind of gained from our own transition back into civilian life.
Yeah.
So that these individuals, they don't have to struggle. They can talk to someone who's been there, done that, and tried just about everything.